At midnight, when the world lies silent, when even the shadows seem to hold their breath, there is an incense that people whisper about with caution. It is not dreaded because it destroys. It is dreaded because it reveals, because it breaks the chains that others want to remain fastened. When you burn this incense, within moments you will sense the weight of curses lifting, the grip of poverty loosening, the cloud of witchcraft scattering like smoke in the wind. Incense has always been more than fragrance. It is breath turned into flame, flame turned into smoke, smoke turned into spirit. When burned with focus, it carries prayer past walls, beyond barriers, across unseen spaces. It purifies not only the air but the invisible fields around you. The most dreaded incense does this with force. It moves fast, cutting through what was hidden, tearing apart what was tied against you. Those who weave curses thrive on secrecy. They knot ropes where eyes cannot see. They plant blocks where steps cannot trace. They darken roads before you without leaving tracks. Yet smoke never asks permission. It travels freely. It enters corners, cracks, and unseen spaces. Burn this incense at midnight, and the smoke will search for what was set against you. It will reveal it, weaken it, and consume it until only clarity is left. Poverty is not always born of laziness or chance. Often it is a binding, a weight tied on a family, a chain wrapped around opportunity, an unseen wall that pushes prosperity away. No matter how hard you try, such chains resist. But when the incense burns, the smoke carries fire into those bindings. It loosens the knots, it melts the chains. It breaks hidden contracts that poverty feeds on. In moments, the atmosphere shifts. Doors long shut begin to open. Heavy burdens lift. This incense is dreaded because it cannot be controlled. Those who send harm know its strength. They know that once it burns, their work unravels. That is why they whisper warnings against it, why they surround it with fear, why they advise you not to use it. But the truth is clear. The fear belongs to those who harm, not to those who want freedom. For the one who lights it with pure intention, fear changes into the smoke becomes a shield, the night itself becomes an ally. At midnight, when the world rests, light this incense. Watch the smoke rise. Let it go where you cannot reach. Let it cleanse what your hands cannot touch. In 3 minutes, the unseen shifts. Witchcraft crumbles, curses dissolve, poverty chains break, and you stand in a new space, your spirit lighter, your road clear, your future unbound. The incense most dreaded breaks curses, witchcraft, and poverty ties quickly. There are many ways people try to guard themselves from unseen harm, but few are as direct and immediate. Words may be spoken, rituals may be repeated, prayers may be raised, yet many times these need effort, time, or outside help. The incense that is feared carries another quality. It does not wait. It does not beg. It works fast, slicing through layers of darkness that took years to form. This is why it is dreaded not by the innocent, but by those who plan harm. Curses are not always loud or easy to see. They may look like nothing more than constant bad luck, repeated failure, or unexplained sickness. A curse is a knot in the natural flow, a deliberate twist tied into life's fabric. It may cause your steps to stumble, your thoughts to blur, your heart to sink. Witchcraft acts in the same way, bending what should be balanced into imbalance. Poverty, too, can be more than the lack of money. It can be a curse, a weight placed upon a family, a cycle that repeats even when efforts are made to escape. These are chains, and chains must be broken. The incense is feared because it directly cuts through such chains. As soon as it burns, the smoke begins to travel. With each curl rising into the air, the energy around you changes. It seeks out knots of curses, webs of witchcraft, and poverty's chains, and it never hesitates. While other methods may push only at the surface, this incense pierces deep. It reaches what was hidden. It uncovers what was buried. It confronts what has been tied against you. And within moments, the structure starts to collapse. Those who send harm know this. They build their work in secrecy, in shadows, in silence. They trust their knots will stay unseen, their traps unnoticed. But smoke does not respect hiding places. It seeps into corners, passes through barriers, and exposes what is concealed. A curse may hide in words once spoken. A spell may rest in an object placed quietly. Poverty may root itself in ancestral ties, but none of these can stand against this incense. Once it burns, their foundation shakes, their bindings loosen, and their presence fades. The reason it works so quickly is simple. It does not fight on the surface but at the level of energy. Chains are energy, not iron. Knots are energy, not rope. Barriers are energy, not stone. Smoke is energy made visible, matter turned to spirit. With intention and the force of this incense, smoke becomes sharp, cutting through what the eyes cannot catch. It is feared because it works where most cannot. Imagine years of hardship undone in minutes. Imagine a cycle of struggle breaking open after a few breaths of smoke. Imagine curses, lifting not after months, but within the silence of a single midnight ritual. This is why it is feared. Those who weave harm lose power the moment it burns. Chains forged with malice dissolve in seconds. A curse made to last years collapses in minutes. Fear always belonged to those who spread darkness, not to those who seek freedom. To the envious, the smoke is torment. To those who tie others, it is destruction. But to those seeking protection, it is relief. To those suffering, it is release. To those struggling, it is freedom. The fire that terrifies the wicked empowers the innocent. The chains of poverty must be treated with the same care. Many believe poverty is only financial, only chance. But often it is a curse that runs through generations, a weight passed from ancestors, a binding place to keep doors closed despite all effort. This incense burns through such ties too. Its smoke unties ancestral knots, dissolves hidden contracts, and makes space for abundance to flow. Where opportunities once turned away, they begin to come closer. Where the flow of wealth was blocked, it begins to move again. The incense feared most is not dreaded because it harms the innocent. It is dreaded because it restores balance quickly, and those who live on imbalance lose their grip. Every curse, every spell, every poverty tie exists because it was made to be hidden and lasting. This incense breaks both. It uncovers and it ends. It does not drag the fight. It ends it fast. Smoke enters hidden places, exposing and consuming negative energy. It is mysterious yet natural. When incense burns, solid becomes air before your eyes. What was bound becomes free. Smoke never rests still. It goes where breath flows, through cracks, across barriers. This is its secret. Nothing can hide from smoke. Harmful energy depends on secrecy. Curses are tied in silence. Spells are woven in shadows. Negative wishes are hidden in unseen places. Their strength grows in the dark, but smoke moves where eyes cannot see. It reveals what tries to stay hidden. It flows without permission through wood, stone, and cloth. No wall holds it back. Where it goes, it carries fire's change. What was heavy becomes light. What was trapped begins to move. Negative energy cannot resist motion because its strength rests in stillness. When smoke enters, the stillness shatters and its power weakens. Think of a room shut for years. The air grows stale, the space heavy. Opening the door and letting smoke drift through changes everything. Dusty corners stir, heaviness lifts, and clarity returns. The same law works with energy. A curse tied into an object is like dust locked in a drawer. Smoke finds it. A spell bound into a room is like stale air behind a window. Smoke enters, and the air shifts. Fire gives smoke its power, for fire transforms all it touches. It does not let what is bound remain the same. Smoke does not remain heavy. It shifts, it lessens, it purifies. Fire consumes in a direct and visible way, but smoke carries the same force in a form that can drift freely. Where flames destroy the form of a thing, smoke dissolves the hidden energy inside it. Fire eats what can be touched, but smoke burns what is unseen. That is why burning incense in the stillness of midnight carries such deep power. At that time, silence stretches wide, distractions are rare, and the flow of unseen energy becomes more noticeable. Smoke rises in a world that is already hushed, already calm, making its presence stronger and undeniable. Wherever it spreads, places are stirred awake, uncovered, and exposed. No hidden nest of harmful energy can stay untouched. Even watching smoke move teaches a truth, that nothing can remain buried forever. Those who send curses know this danger. They place their intent in shadows, relying on secrecy. They assume most people will never look, never sense, never clear these hidden works. Yet smoke cannot be barred. It slips through uninvited, reveals what was hidden, consumes the seed of intent, and leaves only emptiness behind.
This is why incense has been honored for thousands of years in every part of the world, not only for fragrance, but because it transforms what cannot be seen into something that can be felt. Even within your own spirit, smoke does its work. Thoughts that cling and weigh heavy, emotions that sit without moving, memories that keep you tied to sadness. These are like hidden corners within. When smoke surrounds you, when it touches your skin, when you breathe it softly, something begins to shift. What was blocked begins to move. What was clouded begins to clear. The energy that drained you becomes itself consumed. You feel lighter because the heaviness you carried has been burned away. Smoke is both a purifier and a messenger. As it rises, it lifts intention. When incense is burned with the aim of breaking curses, clearing witchcraft, or cutting the chains of poverty, that purpose clings to the smoke. The smoke then carries it into unseen places far beyond your eyes or reach. The power of your words, your focus, and your prayer rides on it, moving through corners, uncovering secrets, consuming obstacles. This is why smoke has long been treated as sacred. It is not just air with fragrance. It is fire made visible, moving without walls, carrying change wherever it goes. Those who know this truth do not fear smoke. They respect it. They use it with care. They allow it to complete what cannot be forced by hand. But those who weave harm dread it, because they know smoke will always uncover their work, no matter how carefully hidden. Smoke travels into secret places, exposing and consuming harm. It does not work by sheer force, but by gentle presence. It does not destroy form, it clears essence. Its nature is to move, and wherever there is movement, shadows cannot stay concealed. Poverty, too, can be a chain, not just a lack of money. People often think poverty means no wealth, no resources, no options. They measure it in coins, possessions, and numbers. Yet the truth runs deeper. Poverty is often an invisible weight tied to the spirit, a bond unseen that blocks flow, a rope that keeps abundance from reaching you even when you work hard. It can show up as money struggles, but its source may not be money at all. It can be spiritual, ancestral, or energetic. When you watch someone labor daily, yet stay in the same place, when you see doors close the moment they almost open, when opportunities disappear just as they appear, these are not coincidences. They are the marks of chains tied around a life. Sometimes these chains are placed by others who wish harm. Sometimes they are inherited, passed quietly from generation to generation, repeating the same pattern of lack. And sometimes they are built within through fear, doubt, and the quiet self-destruction of sabotage. Poverty is not only emptiness, it is restriction. Chains exist to hold in place. A person with chains may have strength, drive, and determination, yet the chains keep dragging them back. In the same way, poverty chains hold prosperity away. Money slips through fingers. Savings vanish into sudden needs. Conflicts arise that block progress. Betrayals come in partnerships, and opportunities collapse before they settle. You may point blame outward, but the real prison lies unseen. Breaking these chains cannot be done by sweat alone. Hard work will not untie what was bound in silence. Education cannot undo what was tied in spirit. Clever planning does not break what was hidden in shadows. What is bound in energy must be broken in energy. That is why sacred practices such as burning incense, spiritual cleansing, and alignment with higher purpose carry such weight. They touch what effort cannot. They burn through invisible cords, dissolving them, making room for prosperity to flow. Think of water. When a river is blocked by stone or debris, no matter how heavy the rain, the water cannot run free. It pools, it stagnates, it spills in harmful ways. Yet when the blockage is cleared, the river moves smoothly, carrying life everywhere. Poverty chains are like those blockages. The universe holds endless abundance, but the chains restrict it from reaching your life. Once those chains are cut, prosperity flows without struggle, like water rushing downstream. Ancestral poverty is among the hardest chains to carry. Families may live through repeating patterns of struggle across generations. The great-grandparents lacked, the grandparents lacked, the parents lacked, and the children grow under the same weight. The outside world shifts, yet the pattern stays. Why? Because the chain tied long ago was never broken. These chains may come from curses spoken over families, unpaid debts, jealous eyes binding a name, or desperate agreements made that tied future bloodlines to cycles of lack. But as surely as chains can be tied, they can also be undone. Burning incense with clear purpose is one path to dissolving these bindings. The smoke travels to the knots, it eats through them, it changes heavy energy into lightness. The simple act of recognizing that poverty is not just material but spiritual starts release. Awareness weakens the tie and action completes the break. There is also poverty built inside the self. When someone feels unworthy of wealth, when they fear what abundance brings, when guilt rises for desiring more, they chain themselves. These inner ropes can be as strong as outside curses. Self-sabotage is a curse spoken by your own tongue. Limiting thoughts are knots tied by your own mind. Fear of success is a cage built by your own imagination. Yet even these inner chains can be broken by practice, by cleansing, and by the shift of energy. Burning incense does not just clear a space, it clears a spirit. It washes the mind, the heart, the field of energy surrounding you. It carves out space where heaviness once lived. It allows you to release fear, loosen inner knots, and step free of inherited cycles. Poverty then becomes not an unchangeable fate, but a passing condition. The chains lose their hold and you stand unbound. Poverty has never been only about coins or bills. It is about whether you are free or bound, whether you move forward or are held back, whether you are chained or released. Seeing it this way makes the path to breaking it clear. You do not only need a new job or new strategy. You must untie the unseen chains. Then wealth, opportunity, and abundance can move to you without resistance. Midnight, burning with pure intent, transforms fear into strength. Midnight marks the shift of the day, the moment of deepest shadow, when silence lies heavy and the unseen feels close. It is the hour many dread because shadows press in, sounds seem sharper, and solitude feels vast. Yet midnight is not only the height of darkness, it is also the threshold of renewal. It is the very moment before turning begins. What is bound can be loosed, what is hidden can be seen. Lighting incense at this time brings you into rhythm with that natural tide. With pure intent, the power moves fast. Fear has always gathered strongest at night. It thrives in silence, in emptiness, in the unknown. It feeds on what eyes cannot see. At midnight, the mind paints danger in the dark, crafting threats that may not exist. Yet when incense burns at this hour, the smoke that climbs through the still air shifts everything. The same dark that seemed heavy now carries change. The silence that once pressed becomes a vessel for transformation. Now the space begins to open for release. Intention moves with the smoke, and the fear that once pressed heavily in the room starts to melt away. The secret is found in the purity of intention. Fire by itself is neutral. Smoke by itself is neutral. What gives them their path is the thought and the will that you place into them. To burn incense at midnight without awareness may simply soften the air, but to burn it with a steady heart and a clear purpose of turning fear into courage awakens a deeper power. Energy follows direction. A restless mind cannot command smoke, but a mind that is still and honest turns each movement of smoke into a messenger of change. Fear was never meant to last forever. It is a signal, a passing shadow, a storm that soon fades. Yet so many grip it so tightly that it becomes like a permanent shadow following them day and night. Fear of curses, fear of witchcraft, fear of poverty, fear of betrayal. These fears turn into chains heavier than the troubles they describe. To burn incense at midnight with a clean intention is to face fear when it is at its strongest, and instead of fleeing, to stand tall before it. The smoke becomes your partner, surrounding you, raising you, and lifting your fear away as it rises into the unseen sky. True strength is not born because fear disappears, but because fear is transformed. When you confront fear without letting it take control, you reshape it into power. Burning incense at midnight represents this truth. You take what many try to avoid, the darkest hour, and use it as a well of power. You take what many only see as weakness, fear, and you turn it into your protection. The simple act of lighting the incense announces that you are not running anymore. You are not hiding anymore. You are meeting the shadows with fire. Protection flows naturally from such a choice. Smoke does not just carry your prayer outward. It begins to form a shield around you. It circles your body, moves through your room, filling corners where fear once stayed. Fear loses its ground when smoke spreads. With focus and clarity, the shield is not only outside you, but inside you as well. You begin to feel lighter, more calm, more balanced. The thoughts that once trembled under fear now stand steady. The emotions that once sank into despair rise up with confidence. The spirit that once felt exposed now stands firm and safe. Midnight makes this effect even stronger. In the daytime, energy is divided. People are moving, sounds echo everywhere, light distracts the senses. But at midnight, the world is quiet, energy is gathered, your attention sharpens, your intention faces no rival. This is why actions done at this hour carry such weight. The mind can enter silence more freely. The heart can hold its focus more cleanly. The smoke then carries your desire with greater strength. What you let go of is let go completely. What you call in is welcomed deeply. Pure intention decides whether fear stays or fear turns into strength. If you burn incense at midnight while still doubting, the smoke will echo that doubt. But if you burn it with certainty, knowing fear is about to become strength, knowing the darkness is about to become a shield, then the smoke reflects that same certainty. Energy answers to conviction. The fire that burns will not waver. The smoke that rises will not stumble. Your space will be cleansed not only of fear, but also of the traces fear leaves behind. Fear can act as a teacher, but it is never meant to be a ruler. At midnight, when fear feels most heavy, you are given the chance to face it fully and change its very nature. The incense becomes your tool, and the smoke becomes your companion. The moment you light it, each wave of smoke that rises is another layer of fear being stripped away. Each movement is another step of strength being built. Each circle it forms is another shield rising around you. What was once a burden now becomes armor. What was once an enemy now becomes fuel. What was once darkness becomes the very ground where your light shines most brightly. The silence of midnight makes the lesson sharper. At this hour your spirit has space to hear itself clearly. The smoke rising in the still air teaches you that even the heaviest fear is not permanent. It rises, it changes, it disappears into the invisible. In the same way, the weight of curses, doubts, and unseen battles dissolves when you meet them with fire and intention. To take control of midnight with incense is to declare that you will no longer let hidden forces control you. Instead, you shape the unseen world with your will. You choose not to bow to fear, but to use it as material for strength. This is why the old ones spoke of midnight incense as a secret weapon. It is not about perfume or sweet fragrance. It is about turning the very air into a prayer, into a shield, into a voice of courage. Smoke is not just mist in the air. It is thought made visible. It is prayer given wings. It is fear reshaped into protection. Each line that curls upward is a story of release, a whisper of courage, a promise of safety. Those who understand this do not waste the midnight hour. They know it is a doorway, a moment when the unseen world leans close, a moment when fear can either hold you down or become the very stone you stand on. The incense is the bridge, the smoke is the path, and your heart is the hand that guides it. When you burn incense at midnight, do not rush. Do not treat it lightly. Place your full mind into the act. Light the fire slowly. Watch the smoke begin to move. Breathe deeply and release what you carry. Speak clearly within yourself what you wish the smoke to transform. Let it carry your fear away. Let it bring your courage back to you. In this way, the act is more than a ritual. It becomes a meeting with yourself, a cleansing of your spirit, a building of your shield. You will not leave the space the same. You will walk lighter. You will feel stronger. And your fear will have been reshaped into strength that guards you in the days that follow.